Welcome to some new r/MaliciousCompliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Project Dashboards. This is from back in the early days, when project dashboards were becoming a hot topic in CIO magazine. The 6 largest projects met weekly with the CIO to present the current status. The meeting was an hour, but with people not being ready and the CIO always being late, each project was not getting 10 minutes but more like 5 to 6. So I condensed my slides down to 4 to get through it. I was also aware that I was first, so I wanted to get done and let the other PMs get their time in. Most of the others had the same number. One week, CIO gushes about dashboards that he had read about in a leading magazine and how he wanted our meeting to start displaying more data. All of the PMs roll their eyes. He takes up half the meeting about this, so it was a rush to get the project status in. I go first, do my 4 slides. CIO goes, "See, these slides are a good example of how more data would be helpful. 4 is not enough to get the full view of the project. Let's see a comprehensive dashboard next week." Next week, I am all set. I've created a massive deck of all the stats I could find. They were all-time series on the x-axis, but most had 2 y-axis values to be able to overlay the data. My personal favorite was actual work hours, effort minus meetings against system loads as a %, showing that when people were working, the dev environment was busy, and confirming that the nightly full build and automated testing were actually running after midnight. Handy to know to make sure we had the capacity, but pretty useless at our CIO level status. All of them was a hefty pack of 50 slides. Meeting starts, I'm first, and I go through the slides. At 30 minutes in, CIO goes, "How many more slides do you have?" "Just a few more in the dashboard you requested, sir." I continue on for another 15 minutes. "Soon?" "Yes sir, just 4 more." And I presented the slides that I had used for the last few months. "These last slides are perfect. Let's just stick to them for next week." They ended the meeting. We never heard about dashboards again. The next story is called Needed Now. This happened about a week ago. I am usually a bartender, but I was serving tables at my job. While it's not my favorite thing to do, I try to give it my best attitude, and it's not too bad. I was standing at our soda station filling up an empty pitcher with water and ice. Just as I had dumped the ice and begun filling the water, a newer server came up to me. New to us, not new to the industry. He says, "Hey, I need that pitcher. I have the section that is furthest away from the soda station, so I really don't want to wait for him and get behind." So I told him that I also need the pitcher. His response? "Well, I need it first." Me, at this point, holding back a smile at how childishly amusing this is going to become. "Oh, well, I had it first." He replies, "I got it out first earlier, and I need it now." At this point, the pitcher is finally full of water. I pause for a second before grabbing the handle of the pitcher and telling him, "Okay, you can have it." I proceeded to dump the entire contents of the pitcher and handed it to him, smiling brightly. The look on his face and the half words he sputtered out were hysterical. I dashed into the kitchen to grab a pitcher and fill it up in there, before I came back out to pick up 2 glasses of water I had filled before the pitcher and left out there. The server was still there, and he says, "Hey, you forgot your water." When I go to grab one of the glasses, he puts his hand out just the right time, so I tip the glass and most of the water and ice spills out. He didn't do this meanly and started preparing me a fresh glass of water to make up for it. I didn't take it. I smiled and looked him in the eyes as I topped off my glass with his pitcher, grabbed my full pitcher, glasses and a tray array, laughing. He and I are totally fine. We do joke around a bit. Though I'm not sure why he thought basically ordering me to give it to him was going to end up in his favor. The last story is called Team Training. This story begins with software. In 2019, the college I work at decided to buy some software to handle online assignments and track grades. It didn't replace the existing software, but it was supposed to be better, and we were gradually supposed to transition over. It was also clearly the big thing an administrator had planned as their flagship contribution to the university. The problem was that it wasn't a big thing. No one wanted to use it. Partly, this was because the college provided no training on the system. Partly, this was because some non-insignificant fraction of my colleagues personally survived the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction event. If you ask them about technology, they start ranting about those newfangled steam engines. Mostly though, this was because the software was terrible. I tried the software because I am not afraid of learning new things, but key features were broken, so I filed a series of bug reports, which were completely ignored, and stopped using it. However, in this process, one of the great beasts of bureaucracy was stirred from its slumber long enough to register that I had used the software. Then, in 2020, the world changed. We found ourselves teaching online, and, largely, wishing we had opted to slam our heads repeatedly into our desk instead. Administration, never one to skip an opportunity to throw gas on a man on fire, realized that they could push this crappy software as a solution. However, they would probably need someone to run training. Somewhere a great beast stirred again, and my phone rang. The person on the other end was my ancient nemesis. Years before, when I was a young professor, she had repeatedly tried to get rid of me. These days, she had moved over to an administrative position where her primary duty is to send mildly chiding emails to faculty for not attending poorly run self-help seminars. It suits her perfectly. She's offering me the opportunity to run a training on the terrible software. I quickly realized that this is baited with just enough bribery to make it easy to paint me as not a team player if I refuse. But if I accept, people will be trying to use software that was probably actually written by squirrels. And when it doesn't work, they will think, who can I call for help? And there's my number in the directory. It's a nicely crafted catch-22. Some of my opponents better work. On the other hand, she doesn't know a hard drive from a shipping pallet of lemon bars, so it's probably an accident. I steal myself. If you can't bargain with demons, you won't last long in academia. And I craft my statement with all the guile and cunning that years of faculty senate meetings have burned into my soul. You say that I should cover all my tips and tricks for using the software. Does this include workarounds for issues in the software? My nemesis is friends with the administrator whose baby the software is. What issues? She bristles. Well, I say, the backend database doesn't always synchronize with the core shell in real time, for instance. I'm pretty sure my nemesis thinks a backend database is rude to discuss in polite company. She certainly doesn't hear, sometimes grades vanish into thin air. Well, sure, if there are technical issues like that, make people aware of them so they can use the software without problems, she says. I'd be happy to cover any such issues, I respond. The trap is closing. My hand will not be in it. Excellent, start working on that, and I'll send you an email with more details. The day of the training arrives. It's on Zoom, and I begin to go through my talk. My nemesis is pleased to see that I have taken the time to set up an account as a student, and I'm switching between a professor view and a student view on the software as I explain things. She's also not one to sit through a boring training she asked for, so after about 10 minutes she quietly signs off. Let's discuss the anti-cheating features next, I say. This has become a big deal, since all our tests are being given online. The software has billed itself as having excellent protection against cheating, and it's been a major point that people in favor of adopting it keep bringing up. I create a quiz, set it to ultra secure mode, and then begin taking it as a student. As I do so, I point out various bits of trivial information, clicking through questions on the quiz. And then I hit a particular combination of inputs that I had discovered in my 2 weeks of extensively cataloging every flaw I could find in the software. And the lock screen closes. I'm still in the quiz, able to answer questions, but I can open a new tab in Google as well. Without commenting, I switch over to Professor View and point to where we can see my student's self-test status. Green, for 0 security issues. It takes a second for the penny to drop. There are a lot of questions, and in the answers I mentioned that I had actually found several ways to break the security on the software and just used the easiest one. But the training must go on. You were probably wondering why some of these questions are poorly punctuated too. That's because many punctuation marks break the software. Here, let me put a semicolon in a question and try to save it to show you. The question fails to save. I pull up a short list of known bugs. It's worth letting you know about these issues. Sorry, all of them, I say as I hit forward on my slides, and the list grows to such a size that each item is now a 5-point font. I spend another half hour saying things like, as you see, the student has sent me a message in the portal, but because they use their mobile browser, it's being displayed in simplified Chinese characters, so I have no idea what was said. Several semesters later, no one had asked me for help troubleshooting the software. Probably because adoption of the software on campus is lower than it was before my training. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.